Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stand. I'm Mark Goldbridge and we need to have a discussion about Luke Shaw. He'll be 30 in July and he still has 2 years left on his contract. He's basically missed the last 18 months of football, but he is back now. What is the future? What do we do? Do we be negative? Do we be positive? Get your comments in because he's made 4 appearances for Manchester United this season and one of them was on TikTok on New Year's Day. So, look, Luke Shaw, where do we start? I think the comments are going to be very interesting on this one. We do these videos occasionally talking about players and whether they can have a future at Manchester United. And I think this has been a journey for me that I think it's like life, really. There are so many layers to this. Ultimately, I got called out a few years ago for apparently being biased towards Luke Shaw because I rated him. And I think he proved why I rated him. I still think that when he is fit, and that is ridiculous to say because he never is, but when he's actually fit and available, I still think he's one of the best left-sided players defensively in the Premier League. That is something that gets lost in the injury, but both things can be true. Ridiculously injury prone, and we'd be better off not having him on the wage bill. But if he could stay fit, we'd be a better team. And that's where I am with Luke Shaw. I'm not going to change that opinion. I will argue that with people who tell me he's not very good, he's overrated, this, that, and the other, because I don't. I disagree. I think he's a fantastic player. But the frustration for me is that when you look at the start of the 23-24 season, he was basically injured from August to November. He then came back for a little bit, got injured between December and January, and then at the start of 2024, that was when he got injured at the start of February, was out for the rest of the season, went to the Euros, came back from the Euros, got injured again, and has basically been out pretty much full stop for this season. So for the last 18 months, he's been injured, apart from, I'll get myself fit for the Euros, which to me, look, there is a patience, there is a level, and that was the line for me. I've defended Luke Shaw. I've just defended him then. I think he's a fantastic player. But the Euros thing, that frustrated me. But where we are today is where we need to start, really. What do we do with the fact that Luke Shaw is going to be 30 in the summer? He's got 2 years left on his contract. He's rumoured to be on between 150 and 200 grand a week. We've paid him millions and millions of pounds over the last 18 months to do nothing. He's had a long career at Manchester United. And he's probably going to have another 2 years here where we've had the previous last 2 years where he's just not fit. In fact, an interesting stat is that he's missed about 230 games as a Man United player, and he's played 278. In the next 18 months, I think it's going to be very realistic that he'll have missed more games than he's actually been available, which is horrific. You know, to be at Man United for basically a decade and miss 50% of the games, that's like missing 5 seasons. So there is not a conspiracy here. This is not sensationalist. There is not some sort of spin. His injury record is horrific. And he has had horrific injuries, but we renewed his contract. We gave him a massive contract. And we're not a charity. And we are desperately in need of left-sided defenders. So, look, the frustrations are all there laid out. What would I like to see happen? I would like to see Luke Shaw at 29 come back from this latest injury, and I would like to see him play consistently for the next two years until he's 31, and then we move him on. That's what I would like to see. I think some of you would say, I just want to get rid of him now, I would like to see Luke Shaw fit and well playing for Man United, and I think we would be a better team because of it. That's what I would like to see. And with him coming back after this international break with 2 key months for Manchester United, I would like to see him playing for Manchester United because he bloody would be like a new signing. I know we say that when people come back from injury, but he literally would be like a new signing because we haven't really seen him play for 18 months. So of course he'd be like a bloody new signing. We haven't had him. So I'd like to see that happen. But I have to come back to reality and say that when you look at the injuries that he has had and the volume of injuries he's had, they're all muscle injuries. They're all exactly what many people predicted. That this player, who is a good player, had a very significant injury, nearly a career-threatening injury at the start of his career, and his body has basically broken down through wear and tear. And I don't think at 29, touching 30, he's suddenly about to have 2 years of an injury-free career playing in the most intense football league in the world. In fact, I think it's more than likely that in the next month, he'll break down again in the most intense football league in the world because his body is literally breaking down. They're all muscle injuries, and he is going to be injury prone. I think that's the reality. So, look, we have this 2-month period where if Luke Shaw can stay fit, he could be really useful for us. We haven't got a left-sided centre-back at the moment, and he can play that role. But I don't know how a body that hasn't played for 18 months really is going to deal with the intensity of the end of a season at the level we want. And I think he's going to break down again. And if he breaks down again, this football club should already be looking at the fact that millions of pounds have gone to this lad over the last 18 months when he's not been playing. So he's already had his compensation, really. He's already had 18 months of wages where he's not been playing. We shouldn't be looking to do that for another 2 years. And I don't know the ins and outs of contracts, but surely the club are looking at things like this, considering the ticket price rises, the sackings, the charities being cut. You've got a guy here on 150, 200 grand a week, doesn't play, and we need to, if we need to save money, and you're telling fans they've got to raise ticket prices to help the club in a financial crisis, even though the Glazers are bloody loaded, you can't then be giving Luke Shaw 150 grand a week for the next 2 years. They've got to find a solution to this because I don't believe he's going to get back from injury in any way, shape or form. And the frustrating thing is, as a football fan, and we did have it with Phil Jones, is that when you're a football fan and you've got good players, you want them on the pitch. You don't want to be going, well, we might get a month out of him this season. It's just not sustainable. So there needs to be a conversation at Manchester United about Luke Shaw. But stupidly again, we've given a stupid contract out. It's still got 2 years on it. And it's a depressing thought that he's probably going to be injured as much over the next 2 years as he has been over the last 2 years, which is basically 75% of the time. I mean, people say Luke Shaw's missed nearly half the games he's been at Man United, but actually, he's been here for a decade. If you look at the last 2 years, he's probably missed 75% of our games. So it is getting worse with age. I will add one more thing. A lot of people will say, you always defend Luke Shaw, and I do, because I think he's a good player. And if I had a magic wand, an injury wand, I would wave it over Luke Shaw and I'd say, you're not going to get injured for 2 years and we'd be a better team because of it. Even at 29, I think he'd give us 2 good years. But where I will say, and it's unfair if I don't, the way he's spoken about England and the way he went to the Euros was putting England over Man United, and that shouldn't be ignored. That was wrong, what he did in the summer. Man United should not have let it happen. How does a player be injured for 6 months, not even be fit for the FA Cup final, not even be fit for the first 5 games of the Euros, only get fit for a final, play in final, come back for pre-season, get injured and miss most of the season? That to me was just, you can be in the new advert for the kit and you can be liked around the dressing room and you can be a good egg, you can be a good lad, but that to me wasn't right. And I think the only reason he didn't really get scrutinised for it was because the club protected him, fair play, and the media protected him because it was England. If that had been Paul Pogba doing that, or Anthony Martial doing that, or Bruno Fernandes doing that, I think we'd have had a very different reporting of that story. And for me, that was very disappointing. Anyway, get your comments in. Let me know your thoughts. What should happen with Luke Shaw? What will happen with Luke Shaw? I'm going to give you my solution. I think there needs to be in the summer a parting of the ways. Even if he got back and played for 2 months, you got to get rid of him in the summer because he's definitely going to get injured again next season. If Luke Shaw can give us 2 months, happy days and goodbye. But in the summer, for me, sadly, we need to move on because he cannot operate at this level consistently, and that's what we need. He's injury prone. Thanks for watching. Take care. Speak to you all in a bit.